What is going on, party people in the house? It's your favorite Unk here. It is January the 29th. We're wrapping up portal season to a certain degree, guys. And I thought to myself, I did this little exercise over the weekend, and I've been waiting to do it with you guys this week. But I think we're at the point where we can start handing out transfer portal grades. Transfer portal grades. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean like Texas is done in the portal? No, not really. There's still guys out there that they're kicking the tires on, and if they decide that they want to pull the trigger, so be it, right? But for the most part, the heavy lifting's done. Okay, for the most part, all the majority of the horses are in the barn. And maybe there's a straggler here or two, but for the most part, look, classes have already started, right? So the classes already got going. The elite of the elite people, the elite of the elite players. Let me just repost this real quick. I don't post enough on Twitter, but it's probably a good thing. All right, here we go. And the elite of the elite players. Good morning, Tex Blonde and Rodolfo, and all you people who are not banned apparently, who get banned accidentally on other shows. The elite of the elite are gone. Okay, so let's just be clear. The guys who are left are not quote unquote the elite of the elite, but they're guys. And so my take on most of these guys is kind of like this. If Texas had wanted to sign them, they probably would have by now. If they're still out there, then Texas is still kind of, So maybe they take a flyer on a guy, but more than likely, these things are done. These horses are kind of, like I said, in the barn. So now let's just kind of sit back and assess it. And we're going to do position by position. So today I'm going to do offense. Tomorrow I'll do defense / special teams. Good morning to you, Darian, as well. Money B is in the house as well. And Tech, Tehj, Tech is in the I don't even know what to do. Tech, is that it? By the way, I hope that's just an acronym, because if that's your real name, I apologize. I wasn't trying to clown on you. So just so we're clear, I think it's like a shortage of something. Like it's supposed to mean something, but if it's your real name, I literally wasn't trying to clown on you, and I apologize if that was okay. So I hate to be like, oh, this guy with this funny name, and it's like that's my great grandpa's name. I'm like, oh shit, my bad. Anyway, so let's do this. Let's start. We're gonna do position by position. We'll go with that. And so let's start with the quarterback position. All right. And let's get the quarterback position. We're going to go transfer portal quarterbacks. And I had my guy Tyler work up some graphics here. And let's go ahead and put this up on the screen. So we only got one. Where the hell is it, Tyler? Where is what's a Green Lantern? Where's my quarterback one? All right, here we go. All right. So I'm doing mostly about the acquisition portion of it, but it's also good to look at what was lost, because I think I told you guys before, one of the things that we kind of talked about was Texas kind of looks at it. If you look at it from a trade standpoint, and if you're trading this player for this player, you can kind of tell yourself, okay, with the Texas upgrade at that position or not, right? It's a good way to look at it, because a lot of these guys wanted more money, as we kind of talked about before. A lot of these guys wanted some more money, and Texas is like, nah, we kind of good on giving you more money, right? So there is that, all right? Now, the Trey Owens thing is not necessarily a money thing. Trey Owens goes into the spring and comes out of the spring as the number 2 quarterback. By the time we get to the season, he eventually gets bumped down to the number 4 quarterback because KJ Lacey emerges. So that wasn't a money thing. We knew in the season, Trey Owens being the 4th string guy and not traveling, well, that's probably not going to go too far and over too long, right? So at the end of the day, Texas goes ahead and they bring in MJ Morris, okay? They bring in MJ Morris. And it was an interesting situation / thing that they decided to do with MJ, because at the end of the day, it wasn't necessarily, I thought, a position of need there. Um, and maybe I'm a little biased because I might be basing my um, belief in KJ Lacey off of things I've seen on practice, but never really seen in the game. I would say, like, okay, I might be wrong, right? But I like KJ Lacey a lot. I think Diabell has a lot of upside. I didn't necessarily think it was a position that Texas needed to upgrade, right? It's a kind of a weird thing because when I start thinking about a grade for that position, well, an A grade would be basically a guy that you would say would come in and compete against Arch, right? And I'm not quite sure that's necessarily what it needs. An F grade would be, I don't even know, somebody from a non P4 school. I don't even know what an F grade would be. So I'm kind of stuck with it because they bring in a guy, an MJ Morris, who kind of was okay from a statistical standpoint, but obviously wasn't the starter of all of last year. Has kind of bounced around a little bit, and so for me, I kind of looked at that grade and I kind of looked at that and I was like, it's okay. And by the way, TEHJ. My thing is this. I'm going to tell you this. My what this is my hot take as relates to that situation. MJ Morris, by the way, cannot be the number 2 quarterback when the season begins. He can't. He just can't, because you can't risk losing KJ Lacey at the end of the day. You can't. It's okay to tell KJ, hey, you're going to sit behind Matthew Caldwell as a freshman. Okay, that's acceptable, right? You could stomach that, right? And you could tell yourself, okay, there's Arch, Matthew Caldwell. He's a little bit of an older guy. I'm young. I'm still learning. Sure. But you really risk losing that kid if you bring in another transfer portal guy and you say to yourself, now this guy is ahead of you. Well, guess what? It's kind of like, well, if you don't think I'm good enough, then I'll just go somewhere else and play. So you can't. If he's the number 2 guy, I would just say start counting down the days until the transfer portal opens, and you're probably seeing that kid roll out the door. So for me, as when I look at the grade, I'm not mad at the acquisition, but I don't love it. Now I know Catch calls it an A for him. He thinks for what they wanted and what that position required, it's an A for them. For me, it's a C plus. I think it's a fine acquisition. I don't think he's the greatest quarterback that's out there. Does he fulfill a need? Sure, but he's probably a third string guy. He's got to be a third string guy. Quite honest with you. And so that for me, it's an okay thing. It's fine if you want to have another arm. It's okay, but to me, it's nothing that moves the needle where I tell myself, oh man, this here was a home run. So for me, that grade was just a C plus. Okay, but it's okay. We'll move on. Right now, let's have fun. Now we get to have a lot of fun. Right. Let's talk about running backs. And by the way, do me a favor. As y'all are in the chats, go ahead and put your grade in. So put in your quarterback grade, not only in the chat, for those of you who are live, but those of you watching it on the replay, give me your grades as well. Don't just be simple-minded and just say your grades suck, right? No, it's okay. You can tell me my grades suck. That's fine. But don't be simple-minded. Then add to the conversation, right? It's like, all right, go tell me what your grades are. Give me your stuff, right? It's kind of like sometimes when you ask somebody, what do you want to do for lunch? And they're like, I don't know. You're like, all right, well, do you want to go to the Italian place? No, I want to go there. You want to go to the Chinese place? No. You want to go to get to that Mexico taco stand? No. Like, what do you want? I don't know. And all they do is just rip apart your ideas. But you're like, well, you tell me. So that's what I'm saying. Y'all, I hate that, by the way. I hate lunch conversations. I hate this is one of the things that annoy me. I hate lunch conversations. So give me yours as well, and we'll see. And we'll put that obviously on the screen. So we'll talk running back as well. And the running back conversation is going to be a more fun conversation. And I think the question isn't I think how high, the question's going to be more how high you guys go. Because I think all of us are going to be somewhere. The lowest would be a B plus, I think, for anybody. I think it's the A's that are going to be A minus, A plus. It's just going to be what you think as relates to that. So let's put up the running back situation here as we start thinking about where Texas is from a transfer portal standpoint. And look, you had Jared Gibson leave during the season, right? So you're telling yourself, oh snap, okay, that's one guy gone. And then you start seeing all the other guys rolling out. And you're thinking to yourself, and I know we were all thinking to ourselves, because we all did, we all do this thing all the time, right? Most of us are family here. Man, what is Jaluk doing? And wasn't he supposed to have a running back that's supposed to come in the portal with him? That's what we all thought, right? We quickly have learned that it is really hard to get guys to leave their schools. So you have these guys roll out, and you have the Trey Wiseman roll out. None of them, out of respectfully, were a major hit in my point of view. I love the upside of Christian Clark, but Christian Clark was a guy that after that performance in the bowl game, Citrus Bowl. I was going to call it. It's called the Cheez It Bowl, but some people get offended when I say that. So I had to remember the real name of it. So the Citrus Bowl, but he wanted more money. The Texans had told themselves, okay, well, we can't give you more money just off of one game. Like that we cannot do. If you can go get the money, go get it. And so Texas, those guys leave, and I feel like there are just instant upgrades. I love Raleek Brown coming in. I love Hollywood Smothers coming in. We all love that Texas was able to steal him away from Alabama and made it even more tasty and delicious to be able to get that right. And so all of a sudden, I've heard so many great things about Raleek Brown as far as what the expectations are of him and what he can be able to do. He's a guy that he's almost like a Jaden Blue comparison. Maybe a guy that you're going to give maybe 15 touches in the game, and that's including carrying the ball. Maybe you go a little bit more. He may not be the bruiser. He may not be the guy that you look to and say, hey, we need this guy on goal line, right? That may not be what his thing is, but I think we all know who the goal line back is. The goal line back is Arch Manning, right? Let's not be crazy here, right? That's your goal line guy. Like that's the guy who you have running in, right? So you can have other guys. You could overthink it and say, well, who else on the roster can do that? There might be some guys who can do that, but we know who the guy is. And don't even tell me about none of these freshmen coming in and being a goal line back. I don't necessarily need any freshmen coming in, with all due respect to those guys, and toting that rock in a crucial situation as a young player. But if you tell me Arch is the guy on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 4th and goal, that's it. That you have your goal line back. So you have Raleek, who's going to open up the playbook for Sark in a way that he hasn't been able to open it up. Then you got Hollywood Smothers. You've got home run hitters, home run absolute hitters. And so for me, my grade for this one, and again, I want to hear what your grades are as well. My grade is I went with a solid A for this one. A plus might have been telling me like, okay, I get the bruiser guy, maybe something like that. But dude, the difference between an A and an A plus ain't that much. I say this as a career C student. But hey, Quinn Ewers once said it best. C's get degrees. Hey, C's get degrees. I got one up here. On the wall. C's get degrees, baby. So, at the end of the day, I love the running backs. I love what they were able to do. I love bringing those guys in. And I think this running game will be more dynamic than it was before. And again, I think it's an upgrade over the guys that they lost. I think Sark has guys who have breakaway speed, who he can utilize in the passing game as well. I love a guy like Raleigh who already played at another program, high level, right? So he's already been around a Sam Levitt, all those kind of things, right? So I am hype about the running back room. And look, we'll talk more about it. Now you got your James Simons, and then you got your young people and all that. But definitely hype about that. So for my grade, it's an A. Tell me what your grade is. I already see. We haven't gotten to the O line yet. We ain't gotten into the O line. And yes, text bond. That's what I'm saying. A. You and I the same way. Like it. Would have loved a big back. A plus would have been for a big back, but A right here. Then I just say to myself, all right. Well, then they just are home run hitters, and you don't have to worry about goal line situations that often. And you know what? We'll take that too, won't we? If that's the case. All right. Now here's where we go. I want to see what you guys think about this one. This is an interesting one for me. When we go to the receiver position, because that's fun. I love that, and we're gonna do defense tomorrow, by the way. So I saw Dale DC. You came in here, my man Dale Coleman. We'll do defense tomorrow. We'll close that out on a Friday, a fun Friday. Nate says I like big backs, and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny. Receiver. This is an interesting one, man. This is where I think, when you look at this is one of those. Do you got some of you play fantasy football? I stopped. I do Prize Picks, and you know what? Prize Picks for me, for my sanity. Just I love just not having to wake up and worry about a roster and trades and all that kind of stuff. But for those of you who played fantasy football, you ever have one of those years where someone in your league just does or attempts to do one of the dumbest trades that's out there? Like they'll trade, Bijan for like 3 guys, and they'll try to rationalize why it makes sense. And you're like, no. And like everybody wants to reject the trade. If I told you, and we play fantasy football, and I was like, hey, I'll trade you Parker Livingston, DeAndre Moore, Aaron Butler, Jamie Fresh for Cam Coleman, most of you guys in the league would shut it down. Now, some of the people are like, well, I need receivers. You will say, no, that is not a fair trade. You can't get the one of the best receivers in all of fantasy football for a bunch of just other guys. No, that's not going to happen. But that's kind of how I view this one. That's kind of how I view this trade. Because Texas goes out, and sure, they lose bodies, but they end up with arguably the best receiver that was in the transfer portal. Instant upgrade. We're talking badass to the bone. And and now you're talking about Cam Coleman, and then you got Ryan Wingo, then you got Emmett Mosley, then we talk about those running backs that are there. All of a sudden, you're like a plethora of options, a plethora of riches as far as that is concerned. I may have gone overboard on this one. I gave it an A+. He is creme de la creme. He was the best option that was out there. I went A. I went A+ because he checked every single box for me. And I felt like this. I felt like if I had to ding the running backs just a little bit, because they didn't have the big back, then I had to reward the receiver position when you got the guy. You got him. So when I look at what's about to happen on offense, I'm super excited. I'm super high. I'm super excited about all that. And so for me, it's an A plus. But give me your receiver grade. All right. We'll do this one. This is an easy one. We'll talk tight ends. We'll make this is a real easy conversation. It is probably the shortest of the conversations that we're going to have. When we look at the tight end position, let's look at we're basically talking a kind of a trade. Jordan Washington for Michael Masunas. One of the things I kind of, was kind of doing some research on it, and I found this thing on Spartans Wire. There was an article about him. Let me just read it real quick. This is after he decided to transfer. It said Masunas played 3 seasons for the Spartans with appearances in 25 games during his time at Michigan State. He recorded 19 receptions for 232 yards and 3 touchdowns this past season, which was by far his best year with the Spartans. Masunas was in line to be the top tight end on the Spartans roster next season. Masunas will have 2 years of eligibility remaining at the collegiate level. Of the many Spartans to enter the transfer portal over the last week or two, and this was earlier, his interest was one of the most painful losses. Masunas had the potential to be a high-level tight end for the Spartans, and it turns out Texas also saw that potential in adding him through the portal. For me, when I look at Masunas and we had the conversation about it, this is one of those things where you got to say to yourself, all right, I didn't really watch a lot of Michigan State games. Okay. I didn't watch a lot of Michigan State games. Right. So we have to now kind of defer a little bit, but we have to think to ourselves, okay, what does this guy look like coming in? And when I look at it, TEHJ, did you tell me the correct pronunciation of what I should be doing here? So I'm not jacking up anything. I don't want you to roll up on me on Bevo Boulevard and swing on me in the upcoming season. I don't even know why. I'm just getting taken out. Well, I ain't gonna get taken out. Trust me. He's gonna take me out. Might take out somebody else. He ain't fixing to take me out. Pack a lunch. But no, we are right there as wow. Longhorn Fan Battle said this is a D, like a dog. Wow. Longhorn Fan Battle, rather. I want you to explain that to me. I'm a B. I just thought it was a good pickup, above average pickup. If you thought Jack Endries was a B plus or A minus last year, this would be a notch below that for me. But he's a guy that will come in, he's going to be a starter, have an instant impact. And now, well, at least I believe he's going to be a starter. Let's see how it works out. But now you've got Masunas. Now you've got those receivers. Now you've got the running backs, right? We don't need a quarterback. In fact, I only want to see the backup quarterback when Texas is blowing out an opponent, which technically would be against Oklahoma, right? Because that seemingly happens every year. Sorry, OU fans. It has been an ass whooping. Ain't my fault. Y'all talk about belt to ass. Well, Oklahoma Texas series, that sure been a lot of belt to ass lately. I just want to make you guys smile on a random Thursday. I hope I put a smile on someone's face. All right, now let's get into the most controversial grade where I don't know where you guys are going to be thinking. And put your tight ends in your tight end grades in there. I said put your tight end in there. Put your tight end grades in there. Put your tight end grades in there, because that could be the other stuff could be interpreted in a really different way. And that's a different show for another day. That's a drunk unk show. That's not the morning show where you guys are at work, okay, or your walk or whatever. That we'll do that for. Say that for another day. All right, offensive line. I am so curious to see what you guys think on this one. I'll be honest with you. I have my thoughts. Okay, so let's here we go. This is what Texas loses. They lose Conestro, they lose Neto, Daniel Cruz, Nate Kibble, Nick Brooks. Of that, I do know that they definitely wanted to keep Nick Brooks around. But it's one of those situations, when you've got programs calling your players and allegedly, and yeah, they may add allegedly so I don't get sued by somebody. Allegedly calling people's players and offering more money. Then sometimes if you're Texas, you have to say, we're good. So Texas they get Jonte Newman, young guy, still, no skins on the wall yet, but he's young, developmental project, but high upside. They get Dylan Sikorsky, and he's a guy that people were kind of pegging as like, well, maybe he's a guy who can come in and battle at that left guard position, maybe be the starter. I never penciled him in as the starter or penned him in as a starter. I always thought like, well, let me see. And when I talked to people behind the scenes, they weren't as standing on the table for him as a starter as other people were. But then they did get Melvin Siani, and that's probably your starting right tackle. So you said, okay, we get a right tackle, you bump Brandon Baker inside. You can make that work. And then they go out recently and they get Lawrence Seymour. And that's a guy who ends up having a lot of playing time. I did a whole show on him yesterday, but he ends up having a lot of playing time. And because he's able to start in so many games, and look, I've seen some clips of him. I'll have to go back and watch a bunch of these games, but you have Seymour at 6'2", 320, not necessarily the conventional size per se, but all he's got to do is just be productive. And if you be productive on this level, I think guys, like I told you guys yesterday, I'm not the guy who is 100% tells myself, okay, I judge this person's success based off of when they get drafted or not. 98% of people who play college football do not get drafted. 98% of people who play college football do not get drafted. I'll say that one more time. 98% of people who play college football don't get drafted. So I don't judge whether they go to the draft or not. I judge how good of a college player that they are, because that's the majority of them. And so for me, if he's a good college player, I don't care where he goes after that. But if he's just a good college player, if he's just your Zach Shackelford of the offensive line, then you've accomplished what you need to accomplish as relates to that. And Money B and I actually agree. Money B and I go C+. It's hard for me to go into the B category if you didn't get a more than one proven P4 guy, right? If you give me more than one P4 proven guy, then you gave me two of those guys, I would have said, all right, I'm somewhere in the B category, right? Anything past that would have probably been, the A's. But right now, you give me a guy Sikorsky, who, okay, we'll see what happens. He'll compete for the job. Who knows? Maybe he's got some upside. Give me Jonte Newman, and I don't really have expectations for him right now. Maybe that will change. You give me Siani, that's great, that's cool, like that. And then you give me Seymour. Okay, I'm excited to see what he can do. He's really good at that pass protection, not from a grading standpoint, not that high from run blocking. So we'll have to see how he works out. So right now, I give it a C+. And the more bodies that they throw at that position, the better it's going to be. But for right now, it's a C+ for me. But honestly, if you guys we'll see more and less, yes. I think Darian makes a really, really good point, which is where is Darian's thing here? And look, we'll have where Darian's stuff go. I guess it's tech. But Darian says, honestly depends on how much flood can develop them. That's fair. That's fair. We can only judge where they are now. And this is the good part and the bad part of who we are as people. Or when I mean people who are obsessed with the Longhorns, because we're having this conversation in January, where most people who are the average fans may not have this conversation until August, right? So the thing is, the difference between you and everybody else is that you will know how the meal is made because you'll have all the behind the scenes info and information and all that kind of stuff. You guys are more well versed than the average fan. That's why I love you guys so much, but more versed than the average fan. But as of today, that is a C plus. All right, those are my grades. Again, give me your grades in the chat. Give me your grades in the comments. And again, tomorrow I'll come back with the defense, and we'll give the defense / special teams / Jeff Banks. Jeff Banks, who, by the way, I can't even clown on. I won't be able to clown on Jeff Banks tomorrow. I'll find another way in another day to do it, but I won't be able to do it tomorrow, though, as a preview of that. All right, y'all. It's Thursday. It's the 29th. Go out there, have a fantastic day. Remember, I always say, live each day like it's your last. One day it will be. So go out, do something special for yourself. You absolutely deserve it. Enjoy your life. Live life to the fullest. Let go of all that stuff. But go out, have a fantastic day. Do something nice. Get yourself a nice little meal. Get yourself a candle. I don't know. Whatever it is, even something small, just show yourself an own token of appreciation. All right, y'all. Take care. I'll be back tomorrow with the defensive grades. And hopefully Texas signed some people today that we can revisit the offensive grades and then do defense a little bit later. All right.